was in Midfield in the mid-1930s. There was a fife and reed band, you know. And what actually happened was that carried on, and they actually bought a banner as well. Kevin Barry is on the front of it, and St. Joseph's Band Midfield. We still have that banner, and I can show you pictures of it here later on. Then in the 1950s, that band kind of faded away completely. And in the early 1950s, Canon Stinson from Swinford went out to America, and he was out fundraising for the parish of Swinford. And he came across the St. Patrick's Day Parade in New York. And he was absolutely fascinated by it, by the pipes, by the display, by the huge turnout of Irish. And this was 1953. So on his return, he got onto the local parish priest, Father McGarry, that was here in Midfield. And Father McGarry knew my father, Tom Maloney, very well. And my father had already learned how to play the pipes in England. He was a miner during the war there. And all the mines, every mine had their own pipe band. This was always a kind of feature in England. And also, he was living in a place called Rotherham. A lot of the army pipe bands used to be from that area. And my father could play flute, he could play piano, he could play everything, and he took to the pipes. And when he came back here, and he was affiliated with the pipes, 1953, so Father McGarry and himself got together and resurrected the Midfield pipe band, pipe and drum band. Now, it started then in 1954 onwards. They always had their parades, every single Patrick's Day parade. That's the only parade they played. They used to play an odd time for functions in Newport, and that time there was still a lot of republicanism and stuff like that going off, and they used to ask for pipers to play at functions. We still weren't too far away from our Civil War, and from all our history was still fresh in the 50s. But my father, then he stuck with the band until he took ill in about 1962-63. And 1962 was his final time playing the pipes. And he died in 1964. The band then kept on going, but it started failing away as the 60s took place. People immigrated. The input of youth into it was beginning to disappear. And by the time it came to 1971-72, it had faded completely. We had only one or two pipers left. And I think the last parade was two lads who's presently with us, Tom Levin and Eamon Moore, played on their own, just two pipers. And after that, it just faded. So in 1986, after the St. Patrick's Day Parade, it was the St. Patrick's Day Parade had only kids' bands, nothing against kids or anything else, but there was no focal point in the thing. And we kind of was, with John Julian and a few of us were in town at the St. Patrick's Day Parade. And I said, we need to get this pipe band up and running again. So we formed a committee in 1986 early, and we'd done a bit of fundraising. And we went on, we'd done fundraising in Swinford, Kilkelly, Culchamaw, and we tried to resurrect all the old pipes. We resurrected maybe one or two sets, but they weren't great. They were kind of, as the man said, they'd seen their best days. And by the end of 1986, we had enough money raised. We bought 6 sets of pipes from Northern Ireland, and we also decided that we would look for expert tuition. We got a guy from Castlebar, Owen O'Malley was part of us that time. Owen was very far seen. When we attended the first couple of meetings here, we had people that didn't know the first thing about notes. No, they kept saying, we don't want to learn by note because it's too hard, and we always played without notes. It was always played by ear. And Owen says, it has to be note. The only way forward is by note. the only way you can teach youngsters coming into the band is by note. And everyone knows where to start and where to finish in the pipe band. So we got a guy called Rory Summers from Castlebar who used to play with the Finton Lawler pipe band in Dublin, and he was teaching in Castlebar, Barlage in Castlebar. So he started us all off with notes. We got our practice chanters. Instead of playing the pipes and making a racket, practice chanters first. Learn your tune on the practice chanter in peace and quiet, then learn your pipes. So we started off on the right foot, and we went from strint to strint then. I have a detail here of Owen O'Malley's, our very first parade. And this is the kind of detail that Owen O'Malley had. He had the midfield pipe band. He had our exact formation and everything else. And that was for 1987. That was our formation. Fortunately, there's 3 or 4 of those members I've already passed on. But you can see the way Owen had it all marked. He had a key. He showed the band members how far the meters were, how far each tune would take us. He had all that kind of thing down to a T. But you can see as well here, he had a plan as well. That was Owen's plan of the parade and of Swinford.
Yeah, the road and the journey.
And how far each tune would take us and everything else. And that was the beginning of us getting kind of into professionalism. After Rory Summers, then we had a guy called John Call. He was the Mayo Arts Officer. John is unfortunately no longer with us. He was Donegal. But John even drove us even further. He actually took the drummers drumming to note and piping to note. And he kind of made us a more professional kind of outfit that we were able to compete in, even in pipe band competitions. And we did compete, not with great success, because, as I said, the amount of commitments to get to perfect the pipe band, there's a lot of work has to go into it. But we're still rolling now. We have done a massive drive prior to COVID to try and get more people attached. We went to all the national schools, myself and a couple of the other individuals, Henry Payton, Michael Regan, and a couple of the band members. And we played a few tunes, and we explained to the children how good piping was for them, that anybody with asthma, it's an absolutely brilliant idea. If you can pipe, it's good for your breathing, and it's great training and a great discipline. We got a lot of interest, but that was the national schools. We also advised in every parish church around the place that we were looking for members. And then we got 2 tutors from Achill, called Michael Devell on the pipes and Cian McNamara on the drums. And we paid them 2 guys to come over. And we had 20 people turned up here for training prior to COVID. And we were driving it on beautifully. COVID came, and next thing, nobody came back. After COVID, it all disappeared. Then we drove on hard again, trying to get more. We got 3 new members last year, 3 pipers, and they're going pretty good. I'm afraid I'm one of the younger pipers of the old stock, and I've no chicken. I'm retired from work, or semi-retired. We've got 3 new pipers, and this year now we've got 2 more trainee pipers, and we're the more youngsters that comes in, the more it's attracting youngsters. But thankfully, we're in a very healthy state, and I think we have something like 10 pipers now, and we'll all be playing on St. Patrick's Day. We're playing Foxford on Saturday at 2 o'clock in Foxford, and then we're playing Culture Mass Sunday at 1 o'clock, and we're playing Swinford at 3, and then we're playing Clare at 4:30. We're playing Roscommon Easter Sunday, and hopefully Strokestown the same day, Easter Sunday. And that's our completion of, once we get that done, then we just play at the festivals like Sheaves of Shroja in Swinford. We play at the festivals in Kilkelly, which was, quite good. Last year we actually had our burgers and a few pints in Duffy's pub, and it was beautiful, fine, sunny day. It's hard to believe that pub, an institution in Kilkelly, is actually gone and disappeared from our midst. But we...
Listening to the wonderful sound, the fulsome sound of the Midfield pipe band as they were warming up and practicing when I visited them last week for St. Patrick's Day and various parades that they were taking part in during the Patrick's weekend, during Easter and other festivals as well. And you were listening to the eloquent man there and one of the pioneers of the band, Eugene Maloney, whose father was pivotal in the flute and drum band in the 1920s and 30s, and later on then in instigating the pipe band in the 50s. And one lovely text in already says, Joe, I never realised that the different mines and miners had pipe bands in different parts of England. It's a very, very interesting tradition, and I must look that up. Thank you very much, listener. There you are, loads of information on this programme, not from me, but from experts like Eugene Maloney. But Eugene then had some marvellous photographs of the early days of the pipe band, and he showed them to me and talked to me about them. Another picture in your hand there, Eugene. Is that Callow Lake again?
That is Callow Lake. That was in the background. As I said, these were, I don't know which of these guys is John Durkin. He was the guy that actually sent this picture from America to his niece, Maureen Noon, again. And it was fantastic. Now, I have here a booklet. And this was, my brother sent me this booklet. It was a tribute to my father, Tom Maloney, in memory of Tom and John Durkin. That's the John Durkin that we said, front row drummer, second from left, Ballydrum. That's where he was from. Front row, left, where is second? Second from left, yeah. That must have been him, John Durkin. And that was...
Two photographs again there, Eugene. This photograph, I think you said, is from the 1960s, the early 1960s. Your father training some people down in the Callow area, beside the lake.
Down in Callow Lake, yeah. This picture, I think it came from a guy called John Durkin. John, who eventually immigrated to America. And he sent the picture to his niece, Maureen Noon, who is... secretary of Swinford Coltis Coulter, and she's doing great work there, driving the Coltis forward. And it was great to see this kind of picture at the time. again, you could see the youth and these guys. He was trying to introduce youth into the band. And in fairness, you can see the amount of people that was in the band.
This is in 1960. This is outside Heaney's, is it?
Greenies,
I'm sorry, in Swinford, yeah.
And here you see the Kevin Barry banner that we also have. That's from the 1930s. Kevin Barry and then St. Joseph's Band Midfield is written at the back of it.
Yeah, Kevin Barry's picture, and also had 2 Irish harps and so on there.
Yeah, and that is a very famous banner, and we will be marching with that banner in Colchama on Patrick's Day and in Swinford.
Can you identify anyone here in this? There's a large group of people in the band. There must be 30 or more.
Oh, there was 30 or more. A lot of youngsters in it at the time. My dad was there at the time. This was Matty Kelly. He was the leader of the band. Then he was the guy out in front. And as you can see from what I showed you, when we resurrected the band again in 1986, Matty was again at the forefront and still the leader, even though he was getting on in years. That is Kevin Campbell. Later went on to be contractor. Kamer Construction was his son. Kevin Campbell was the big drummer. These are mostly all local midfield lads at the time. The McDonoughs, there was the Levins, there was the Muldownys. They were all part and parcel. This was one of the Kellys. I cannot remember them all, but this would be from 1961, 60, that picture outside Greeny's pub.
And the marvellous sound there of the pipe band, the Midfield pipe band, and stories of photographs and the layout for the marching and the various incarnations of the band. And it's a fascinating scale, and like so many other musicians from Ireland, they carried their music with them across the world, wherever they went. And Eugene had a lovely story about an involvement of one of the pipers from the Midfield area, their ancestors over in Philadelphia, if I remember rightly.
I also have this picture now. He sent this from Philadelphia. This is myself and John Gavin. John's nephew also, John is a piper with us here in Midfield. His nephew also plays in the Emerald Pipe Band in Philadelphia. So that's a double link with the Philadelphia Emerald Pipe Band. And that's a display of the flag. We've done a speech on pipe bands and of all the bands around Swinford area in 2017. And we took the pictures there with Kevin Barry, and that's the...
Yeah, the reverse of the flag has a beautiful round tower and church on it, St. Joseph's Band.
That's
Midfield.
That's it, yeah.
That's a stunning banner. Did you ever hear where the banner came from or how they raised the money, Eugene?
It was raised in the mid-30s. And it's ironic, Kevin Barry was only 18 years of age when he was hanged. He was one of the last to be hanged before independence. And I'd say it would have still been a sore point in Ireland at the time. So republicanism, as I said, in its various ways, was still rife in the mid-30s. And I would say that they purchased the flag and commissioned it.
Most interesting, the element about the 1930s, and of course that's when they had an actual flute and drum band, and many ancestors, uncles and granduncles and grandfathers of some of the band members over the last years, both pipers and flute players, were in that early band. And we'll be hearing how the band can be traced right back into the 1880s, in fact, to the Land League days. But Eugene had a short piece to say about the older flute and drum band from the 1930s.
On the front to honour Kevin.
And Seo mar al Have you any information at all on the older flute and drum band, fife and drum band that was here?
Not really at that stage, because, as you know, the war would have finished all that. The Second World War that commenced in 1939, and Midfield here at the time, even though we had most of the members that played in the old fife and drum band, immigration was huge. Once you became 15, 14 years of age, you had to immigrate. And it was legendary in Midfield, the amount of miners that came from around here. Everyone around here was a miner. They all went to the mines, and when they went to England, they were told to the front or to the mines, and most of them went to the mines. And as a result of it, my father was only 54 when he died. His brother would have been only 60 when he died. He was in the mines with him in Rotherham. We had all the Kellys here in Midfield. They were all miners. Everyone was famous around here for miners. None of them lasted any longer than 60, 64, in around that age. They were all dead. So you can see the war really killed any music that was in the place. And until we resurrected, my father was back and he resurrected the pipe band again in 1953, as I said, with Canon Stinchen and Father McGarry. So they were the two that kind of drove it forward. And thankfully, we've managed to keep up the tradition of keeping people involved with the pipe band in Midfield area.
Eugene Maloney there giving a wonderful overall biography and story of the flute and drum band and the pipe band. However, we were delighted when Michael Kelly made contact with me. He's a great musicologist and researcher of music, particularly piping in Mayo, and came up with a few neat references to the flute and drum band in the Midfield area, going right back to the 1880s and the time of the Land League, when so many bands were prevalent and were set up all across East Mayo. Some parishes like Kilmovee and parishes like Carricastle had in fact three bands, if not even four. And Michael Kelly, the music historian, was working primarily on the Uilleann Pipers of County Mayo. However, hearing that we were doing a feature on the radio with the Midfield pipe band, and also, of course, referring to the flute and drum bands, sent me two very, very interesting pieces. And here's the first one. He writes, in 1888 of January, a countrywide rejoicing at the release of William O'Brien. This was in the Freeman's Journal of the 23rd of January, 1888. And at Swentford, the Midfield League Band turned out with torchlights. And this, of course, was the Irish National League, the successor to the Land League. And Michael Kelly tells us that the report in the Freeman's Journal was there were great rejoicings here in Swentford for William O'Brien's release from prison. The Trades Band, the League Band, and the Midfield League Band turned out with torchlights and bonfires blazing all over the country. He tells us that in 1934, on the 21st of January, the Swentford Football League, Midfield Fife and Drum Band played their team into town. And this piece he sent us from the Western People of the 27th of January, 1934. It's entitled Swentford League Football. At a meeting of the league, the teams who owned bands were asked to bring them in on the days that they would be drawn for play. So on Sunday last, Midfield Fife and Drum Band played their team into town, and after playing their customary visit to play for their former schoolmaster, Mr. Philip Cassidy, XNT Swentford, they played the contesting teams from the town to the field, accompanied by the secretary of the league in Swentford. A large crowd of spectators witnessed the matches. Midfield and Calasser were the first to take the field, and a great match was witnessed. Both teams gave of their best throughout the full time, and looked a splendid crowd of men on the field. Midfield, however, won the day with a final score of 3 goals to Calasser's 2 goals. And Michael Kelly tells us in the Western People from January the 27th, 1934. In the second match, Dara Ronan and Killasser took to the field. And after a very fine match and great excitement, this contest ended in a draw. Superintendent P. Kilroy refereed both matches, and it said it's hoped to commence the third round of the league on Sunday next. Both sets of medals are on show in Mr. William Cook's shop window in Swinford. And our thanks to Michael Kelly, the music historian, for sending on those lovely pieces about the Midfield Fife and Drum Band. Yeah, thanks to Michael Kelly for that those two lovely references to the Midfield flute and drum band. Well, I'd been talking to one of the leaders of the band for so many years, whose father had been one of the driving forces behind the band in the generation before that. Eugene Maloney, and Eugene Maloney's brother Paul then brought me right back to their kitchen, the kitchen of their home, and the preparations that would be made, that he remembered as a young fellow, when the Midfield Pipe Band would be getting ready shortly after the Christmas for the marching season. Sure, Mar Lauershe.
Yeah, well, I'm Paul, Eugene's brother, and there was 10 of us born in a little 2-bedroom house in Corrion, Swinford. And my father was very involved in the pipe band. And when it come on St. Patrick's Day, especially after Christmas, preparation used to happen for the St. Patrick's Day parade. There'd be the old tub of molasses and the bags of the pipes soaking in there. But as you know, that time, the bags used to be sort of made like of a leather, and they'd go hard if they weren't being used, and they used to have to be softened up. And they had to soak those ones into there, and that was a big job. Your hands would be working away, working the bags and softening them up. And then you had the reeds. It would be taking the reeds apart and rubbing the Maguire and Patterson matchbox across them to file them down and make sure they were working. And then you taped them round with a string at the end, and you blew them to make sure the reed was working. And the drones, then they're the ones that goes in the pipes of the part of the bagpipes, and those would be sticking. And if you had long hair or a woman in the house, they'd be pulling ribs of the hair and pulling it down the drones, and you might have to put 2 or 3 ribs of hair down in order to keep the reed open, the drone open for when the pipes were playing. This would go on a few nights a week into the early hours of the morning. Sometimes it would last till 2 or 3 o'clock. The nearer you got to St. Patrick's Day, went on. And it was great, though. It was a great memory. But if you decided you wanted to go to bed early or sleep, you had to put up with the bagpipes and the drums going. And the kettle drums, you used to have the kettle drums with a piece of wire running across the top, and you could hear the noise they made. Lashed them in mind forevermore. Then as kids, we used to have the practice of the old Clark's tin whistle, the old C. Clark's tin whistle. And we used to have to run in behind the band, and all the kids played, and the local schools joined in on, and followed the pipes on the parades. It was something to remember. You know, you wore your little green beret and your sash and your St. Patrick's Day badge, and you know, you were as proud as punch to be part of the band and to hear this music and to see the crowds. It was times to remember, times I think that children today should get involved in. Schools get involved, and I know local schools have got their own bands. But the Midfield Pipe Band is a really traditional band with the local area, and we should be bringing youngsters on, training them in their pipes and bringing them back in and making that band bigger and better. It's great to see tonight, as we're getting preparation for St. Patrick's Day, to see the new members coming into the band, and long may it last. And thank you, Midwest, for showing an interest and getting involved. My father was a great musician. He could take any instrument and play it, and that be it the piano, it's a tin whistle, the wooden flute, the violin. He'd play any of those. And it was a house where it was a drop-in house. There was always a wooden flute, there was always an accordion, there was always a tin whistle or a violin there to be played, and people used to come along, and youngsters. My father, I remember him, he looked an old man to me at that time, but he died when he was only 54 when he died. He looked very old to me. But I imagine all the youngsters used to turn up. We used to go to the bog, collect the turf, and the youngsters would gather round and they'd land up to the bog with their tin whistle, and he'd say, "Can you play the Lark in the Bog?" Or "Can you play Miss McLeod's Reel?" Or "How do you turn that tom?" they'd say to my father. And he would take the time to show them youngsters how to do it. He always had a great grow for young people wanting to learn music, and he spent his time with them and working along with them. Into the house, there was always a house full of music. There was anything would have caused a party in our house. And it was great to see at that time, you had the old kitchen bed, and there'd be people sitting along the kitchen bed, or the forum on the outside of the kitchen bed, and people having a dance and a half set in the house. It was a regular place. After the harvest, there'd be a party in the house, there'd be music. You'd stand outside in summer evening, and you'd hear my father would get the pipes out, and he'd be practicing his pipes and playing the pipes. It brought happiness. It was a happy, lovely, happy upbringing. Nobody back in the 50s, 60s had much of anything, but you had comforts. You had no great competition about style, or you had no great competition about who wore what and how much somebody had. It was a happy home to be brought up in. And me, as a member of a family of 10, I had great, great happy memories, and thanks to my father and my mother, who backed him all the way, we had a great upbringing in Corrion and Swinford.
The bus. Thanks, Joe. Appeared.
Thank you very much. Thanks a million. Thank you so much. And we're just listening to them giving the orders there. We were talking outside the school, the primary school in Midfield, and we had been listening to the marvellous practice that the band had up and down the street. It was really, really superb. Beautiful dry night as well. And the whole village, you could hear the pipes echoing across the fields, and there was a small little sliver of moon coming up. It was very, very, very interesting indeed. And Paul, of course, Paul, a marvellous character, and giving a great account of the music and song in the Corrion area when he was growing up. Fair play. That's Paul Maloney. What a great account he was giving.
And my mother played music as well. She played the accordion, yeah.
What was your father's name, Tom?
Brian Lavin, yeah.
And was he playing when you were a young fellow?
No. The band was gone at that stage. The fife and drum band was gone at that stage. It was a priest that revived the whole thing again. Father McGarry. He was a County Sligo man from Colony, County Sligo. And he got the pipe band going in 1958, was it? Not 50. I think it's 58. No, I know you don't know, but before your time, but I was wondering. I think 1958, yeah. Michael Regan will be able to tell you there.
Right. And returning to the flute and drum band, Tom, do you remember the flute being in the house?
I do. I remember the fife. Yeah, of course I do. Yeah, the fife. Yeah.
Would your father have it left up on the
dresser? Yeah. That was a special place for that. Nobody.
And did he play a bit on the concert flute as well?
No, he played the tin whistle and the fife. Yeah.
And your mother played the melodeon?
Yeah, she played the melodeon, yeah.
The accordion, right?
The accordion, yeah.
So there was music going back in the generations?
There was music all the time, yeah.
Did your father ever mention that they played at any political meetings back in the 1920s or...
Well, he did, but I can't recall now exactly. I don't know, was it Kilshma, where John Cochran is buried? I think they played there, and I'm not sure, was it League and Ballina as well? League Cemetery in Ballina, yeah.
Tom Lavender, one of the oldest and wisest members of the band, giving a lovely account there of the different members of the Lavins that he could remember that had played in the band and where the bands had performed. But the other older and wiser member, of course, is Eugene Maloney, whom we heard earlier. And lovely solo, one of these big favourites, the slow ones for mass and all the kind of stuff, as he said himself. Amazing Grace. Eugene Maloney recorded in Midfield School last week while the band were preparing to march on the St. Patrick's Day parade in various venues, Galchmont, Swinford, and so on. And the piping there of Amazing Grace from one of the leaders of the founding members of the band, Eugene Maloney. Well, of course, the band master is the other Eugene Henry, and naturally, Chorme Kuplikeshni, Eugene Mariana Barcheva Egison. And now, as one of the younger members, in between ages, if you like, he joined the band and ended up as pipe master.
Now, Joe, my name is Eugene Henry, and I'm the current pipe major of the Midfield Pipe Band. I got involved with the St. John's Pipe Band, which is just over the road in Canaff. I don't know, maybe 1986 of that, under the pipe major, Owen O'Malley. And Owen was a great man to round up young people in the area. And I started off in the chanter, progressed on to the pipes, and I've been floating in and out as work allowed of the band since 1986. And we're back now tonight. As you can see here, we had a lovely rehearsal with 10 pipers and 16 band members going out on Saturday, hopefully, and again on Sunday. So it's great for the area. It's a community pipe band. We try to attend every function we're invited to, and we do our best. Now, we're voluntary. So we have work besides farming, a lot of farmers here, a lot of people working away. So we can only go out if we have sufficient numbers. But like last year we did Sligo for a GA match. We do the Roscommon Town, we do Strokes Town. So we fairly get around. And we do a lot of events in Swinford and up to Kelshmall this year. So the band has grown. Over the last 2 winters, I started teaching a couple of new pipers because we were really down on pipers, struggling on pipers. And 3 of them will be playing this weekend. And we have another 3 taken in this year. And the good thing, these new pipers are all settled in the area with families. So there's a lot of time goes into it. We tried it before with kids, but it absorbed a lot of time and then they went away. Where these people are living locally. In fact, they're not going anywhere. They're here for the good of the band, and we didn't go to them. They all came to us. So we're doing the best we can. We're going to bring as many new pipers and drummers into the band. A lot of the band is here for a long time, and it's not that they don't want to do no more. It's struggling. There's a lot of walking on the parades. It's grand playing, standing up at a function, but you might be doing 3 mile, carrying a big drum, carrying a small drum, or playing into pipes. And it's a young man or a young woman's game when you go into them type of numbers. So
Eugene Henry there giving a very fine account of his role in the community and explaining that it's a real community band. And here is beautiful Slow Air, which I recorded in a Midfield school a number of years ago when his daughter Niamh Henry was a student there. It's a beautiful Slow Air called Aisling Ceol, and she's on the Fallow Stein, continuing on the lovely tradition of the Ceol within the Henry family and within the Midfield area, Ballagiri. Cain Ogan Genevians and one Skyl Idreen Law in Midfield, a daughter of the pipe major in the pipe band now with Midfield, and her name is Niamh Henry, and her father, of course, Eugene Henry, the pipe major of the band Loharnohuida. And Eugene mentioned some lovely messages in, by the way. If you wish to text us or WhatsApp us, it's 087 900 4141. I'll read them out in a few minutes. 087 900 4141. Really lovely messages in. Great reaction. But one of the people, Eugene mentioned how 3 have joined in the last 2 years ago, and 3 more have joined. 3 pipers have joined in the last 3 years. One of those people who joined, I had a word with her, Colleen Byrne as Chelchimach.
Hi Joe, I'm Julie Conlon. I'm from Kelchima. I'm from Bohola originally. So I've just started with the Midfield Pipe Band. This will be my 3rd session tonight, and I suppose growing up as a child I would have watched the Midfield Pipe Band in all of the local parades, and in recent years I've kind of noticed that it's an ageing group, and I thought they could have done maybe some new blood, and I found that the lads, being the only female here at the minute actually, they've been really welcoming and supportive of me starting.
Great. And you're on a practice chanter, are you, at the moment?
That's right, yeah. So Eugene Henry, who's the person who would teach us, he keeps in contact with us through WhatsApp, and he'll send us tunes and tips for it, and then he'll meet us on a Wednesday and we'll go through the chanter songs with him.
Brilliant. And what tune or two have you been wrestling with at the moment?
So we have Dawning of the Day, and the most recent one is Let Aaron Remember.
Let Aaron Remember, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you find the whole razzmatazz and the buzz of the drums and the skirl of the pipes and everything?
Yeah, it's good. I suppose when you're indoors, you know, we practice here in Midfield School, and obviously it's a small space, so the noise does be quite overwhelming when you come in first. But the last few sessions we've been out marching on the road here, and it's really good, so it is.
Brilliant. And you have a young man with you here tonight.
Yeah, this is my son, Sean.
Sean Conlon, you're very welcome to Midfield. Are you enjoying the pipe band session?
Yeah, it's good, yeah.
Good boy. And have you been listening to Mammy practicing the chanter pipes at home?
Yeah.
Brilliant. Do you think you might become a piper when you're older, Sean?
I don't know.
You're not sure?
No.
What do you make of it? The big sound of the drums and the mighty percussion, and then the pipes all around you. How do you feel about it?
It's good, yeah. Loud.
Loud, very, very good, yeah. It's like before a football match or something, or a hurling match, yeah. Great stuff, Sean. There you are, young Sean Conlon with his mother Julie, one of the younger members of the band, just learning to play the pipes. Julian McNicholas Conlon from Culchima. What a lovely, lovely moment that was. And to see this young boy enjoying the marching up and down in the middle of the night as well, up and down Swinford Village, and listening to them inside in the school, Homelishin. Gleeson, tell me about your role here. You have a very important role in the Midfield Pipe Band.
That's right, Joe, yeah. Welcome to Midfield, first of all. I'm a drummer with the band. Would have started when I was about 10, I think, about 1988, I think, around that time. So I've been going ever since. So missed a few years here and there, and between rugby and a few different things, but we're back with it now the last, I suppose, 12, 15 years with the band again. So, yeah, really enjoying it, and great to be out and great to be part of it. It's a great band to be involved with, and we have mighty days out and different parades here and there, so it's a good bit of entertainment. People like the marching bands again. It seems to be coming back again in full swing. So, yeah, very happy with it.
Great stuff, and of course your family are musical as well. Your daughter is a wonderful musician on the concertina and all that. That must give you great courage and great enjoyment.
It does, Joe, absolutely, yeah. She's presently finishing off her fourth year in Trinity in Dublin, and as a speech and language therapist, and she's very involved with Quotas, and she's the National Youth Officer for Ireland and the whole of Ireland, obviously, a National Youth Officer, and she really enjoys the music, so it's great to be involved. Bring them around with the younger herself and her sister Grania would be very involved, the Cayley bands and all that, between Kilmavie and all the different branches around here and there, so they would play a lot of music. So between trying to get rugby training in and going to music lessons and sessions and everything, we had a great time and burning out engines and cars and all that, but we got around to it, so it's great to look back on the way they've progressed since, you know. So yeah, she really enjoys the music altogether, so it's good. It's honoured, like, that she's carried the music on, because Dad was from County Clare, so she would have bought it, I suppose, from that side, and I played a bit myself in the accordion when I was younger, but the drums, I was always into the drums, make more noise, so that was it. It was easier to hammer the drum than it was to learn notes for me anyway. So yeah, I played an odd tune with her now and again if she'd hose on for me, but we'd be yeah, very, very musical, very involved in it still, so it's great to see it that she's carried it on, you know. So
Tony Gleeson, one of the great drummers with the Midfield Pipe Band, and his daughter, of course, Bridget Gleeson, a wonderful concertina player. And here we have a lovely recording of her playing two beautiful jigs, along with her neighbour, another great young musician from Swinford, Grace MacDonald. The Cat's Meow on Tanimata is an the Gates tune and show. young musicians from Swinford, and of course Bridge Gleason's father, Tony Gleason, there, the drummer with the band, and Tony gave a tiny little demonstration on the drum for us for the crack outside the church in Midfield. And on it went Fishka Hall and her father. Really, really lovely. And some great message, Joe. Really love the programme. Marvellous that these traditions are being kept up. Thank you very, very much. Delighted to have heard the Midfield band in Clare on last Sunday. They are magic to listen to. Great for giving their time and efforts every year. Very appreciated. And long may they keep going. This comes from Mary Harden in Clare. Mary, thank you very, very much for that. And Clara, Joe, one my on 10 of us. Thank you very much, Lester. Joe, I really love that tune. Paddy's Green Shamrock Shore, the pipes, well played. And that was from Eugene Henry there. And oh my goodness, Joe, I can't believe I was so lucky to hear my beloved friend Angela's two brothers playing. Thank you, Joe, from Hilda in New York. Hilda, thank you very, very much for that. Buechsi hosa for son an clor special galer na posti as an squel an dawn agus na Kjolteri as Midfield Iamtach fad agus slán while agus be curmach na belly. Vish go hall na fad vi gestucht rich an on a happy. The night passed very, very quickly. This is our old friend Bridge. Bridge O'Grady. Bridge got a meet a my shin. Well, we'll hear